All right, so we're going to go through real quickly and talk about how to do a cut list for a flat or a platform. Either one you're going to have to be doing for your paper project. So I'm just going to jump right into it and give you a rundown of what you're trying to do for that. So I'm going to pull this up real quick. All right, so here we have two examples of what we're trying to do. Over here, this piece is going to, sorry, when I'm recording that is a little sluggish. We are looking to do a cut list for this flat here. So I need to give you a little information so you know what to start with here. So I'm going to give you both the height and the width. So this is going to be a 4 foot by 12 foot flat. And with this, that's all we really need to do, or what we need to get this started. This is a flat. So your instructions should tell you that this is a 1x3 frame with a Luan skin. With that, that's everything you need in order to figure this out. So we're going to start right up here at the top. This one is easy because it already tells you your width is 4 feet, which is exactly what this board is here. And you're going to need one of those at the top and at the bottom. So we can come over here and just say 2 at 4 feet 0 inches. That's going to be step one for this. Next up, we need to figure out what our two sides are going to be. This is where it gets a little tricky, and that is because you have this 3/4 of an inch up here that is a part of that 12 feet. The same with this 3/4 of an inch down here. So if we add that 3/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch, that would give us 1.5 inches. And that is what we need to subtract from our overall length of 12 feet to determine what this style is, as well as this style over here. And hopefully you guys are playing along at home and you have already subtracted your 1.5 inches from 12 feet, which gives you 11 feet, 10.5 inches. So I'm going to come in here and say 2 at 11 feet, 10.5 inches. And then there's something a little funky going on here, and that's this piece right here, or that right there. That's what's a little weird. But hopefully you guys remember when we were talking about seam catchers, and that's what this is. So everything here is going off of the standard 2-foot spacing, which is why we don't mark or indicate any of the heights of these. So if you count along with me, we've got 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot. This one is at the 8 foot on center, which is important because, as we know, our sheet size is 4 foot by 8 foot. So right here at our 8 foot line, this is going to be a breaking point where I'll just show you guys real quick. So if we come in after we have built this frame, we're going to take a sheet of material that is 4 feet by 8 feet. That is not what I typed, but not 88 feet, just 8 feet. We'll try. We're going to try again. It got mad at me. So 4 feet, tab 8 feet. There we go. That's what we're looking for. So you can see this goes halfway across this seam catcher here. And then we would add another piece of Luan that would be 4 feet by 4 feet. And that takes care of this right here. And that is going to show us why we need that seam catcher, is so that we have enough material here to catch both of these pieces. And then there we go. And so that's what it would look like without them. But we typically don't draw Luan on top because that adds more lines through our drawing that gets a little confusing. So if I get rid of those, that's showing that this wider piece is our seam catcher, but it's also the exact same length as all of these. The difference is this one is just turned on its side. So now we need to go through and figure out the length and how many of our toggles we need. And we just count the seam catcher as a toggle. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. And then this is going to run off the same convention as what we did for the side here, where if we look at this, we've got our 3/4 of an inch over here on this side and 3/4 of an inch on this side that all subtract from our 4 feet. So 4 feet minus 1.5 inches will leave us with 3 feet, 10.5 inches. And then we need 5 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I would come back in here and I would say 5 at 3 feet, 10.5 inches. And then that is going to be my cut list that is needed for this. And then when we're doing our material estimating, we know that we also need a full sheet of Luan that gets us up to here. And then we still need another 4 feet, which happens to be half a sheet of Luan. So I could even come in here and say 1.5 sheets of Luan. Nope. There we go. And that right there is going to be a cut list for our flat that we have here. And every flat that you are doing a cut list for, this is going to be the very similar method that you should use for putting this together. You have some with sweeps as well, the plywood curves. So this would be anything that is going this way is going to be a plywood curve. So for those, I would break this into 2 different categories. I'm just going to copy and delete that out. So I might come in here and say these are plywood sweeps. And then down here, this is going to be my 1x3. I do that every time too, at 11 feet, 10.5 inches. So then this is how I might break up my cut list so I know what's plywood, what's 1x3, and what else I might need for it. So that would be how I could come up with a cut list for my flats. Platforms are very much the same, except that instead of our framing being 3/4 of an inch thick, it is now 1.5 inches thick. So if I come and look at this one, I have my overall dimensions of 4 foot by 8 foot. Everything is still the standard 2 foot on center spacing. So I would come in here and say this is at a 2x4, and I would need my 2 pieces that are 4 feet 0 inches. I would also need 2 pieces that are going to be not quite my 8 feet long, but this is going to be the same thing that we did before, except now we're doing this with 1.5 inches instead of 3/4 of an inch. So we've got our 1.5 inches and our 1.5 inches, which leaves us with 7 feet 9 inches for the middle here. So I'm going to pull this over here to at 7 feet 9 inches. Except I want my little dash in there, make everything look right. And then we have 1, 2, 3 braces here in the middle. So that's 3 at 3 feet 9 inches, because we're doing the same thing that we did before. We've got our 1.5 inches here, our 1.5 inches here. So we subtract those 3 inches from our 4 feet, leaves us 3 feet 9 inches. Same deal. All of our platforms are going to have some sort of labels like that. That's going to be the thicknesses that you're subtracting to get your overall lengths. This one also happens to just be a 4 foot by 8 foot platform, which happens to be the exact same dimensions as a sheet of plywood. So for this, we would also just say we need 1 sheet of plywood to complete this. I believe that is the real quick and easy version of what's going on here and what you guys are looking for. So please reference this if you need it, but that should be an easy way for you guys to see and understand what you're doing to make a cut list for the paper project. Let me know if you have any questions, but that should hopefully take care of most of them for you. Thank you.